All right, and welcome back to Luminary Leaders Live. My name is Shelly Harrison, and I'm your host. I do this show a few times a month, and I love to have the guests that we do. Today, we have one of our clients. Her name is Kris Miller, and you'll meet her in just a moment. But we're going to learn a lot from Kris today, and she has a huge heart. And how exciting! She just did a speaking engagement this morning for the Villa Park Rotary Club. So we want to give our friends at the Rotary Club a big shout out. With Luminary Leaders Live, this show, I usually bring on CEOs of companies, executives, sponsors, and different folks that I meet across the country. And every time that we have this show, it's just inspiration. Our guests have just incredible information that they share. So I hope that you'll continue to watch and be with us every episode. I'm going to introduce Kris now, and she is the CEO of Healthy Money, Happy Life. And she is a legacy wealth strategist. And Kris, I want to welcome you to Luminary Leaders Live.
Thank you, Shelly. It's such an honor to be here and to be able to share with your beautiful community. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here, because this is the first time we've been able to really see each other face to face. And I know you're such a warm spirit, and I just love the work that you do, Kris. And share with our audience a little bit about, your kind of the work that you do, and we'll get into some other things too.
Well, thank you. I've been in practice for over 30 years, and I started out as a paralegal. I was actually volunteering at the senior center, helping seniors do living trusts. And I was working with an attorney, and the little widow, all she had was a car and a house. And I'm talking about 1991, 92.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, you need a living trust, right? She didn't have any money. And I said to him, can you give her a discount? Because he wanted to charge you $5,000 back then for a living trust.
Yeah.
But she didn't have any money. And I asked him if he would help her, and he said no. And I said goodbye. I know. It shocked me. But it did.
That would be shocking.
Right? It catapulted me into my assignment, how I can help lots of people. So back in the days, there, only people thought that only attorneys could prepare living trusts. But I was a paralegal, and I was one of the first people to venture out and do workshops on what's the difference between a will and a trust, and offer living trusts really affordable. And it was a big deal at the time because I was out doing workshops about it. And then one thing led to another. I did that for a number of years, and then I started seeing patterns. There were patterns that people were coming into my office for retirement planning. And don't be offended if you're this age, but they'd start their plan at 50, 60, or 70, right?
Yeah, which is too late. Way too late.
I work with people 90, but you miss all the benefits of, tax deferral and all kinds of good things. And and there were stumbling blocks, Shelly, things that, you go to school, you learn how to make money, and then you get out of school. What do? You go make money. And then what do you do with the money? You give it to somebody else to invest, or really what I saw was gamble, because it's like a roulette wheel.
Yeah.
This is the stock market. When are you going to retire? Is it going to be up or down? And because I've had longevity of 30 years, I've been able to see a lot of patterns from a different perspective. And that really was what inspired me. And then I saw that not only did people not have the right paperwork, they didn't know anything about, when you're 40, it's hard to imagine when it's like when you're 60, right? When you're 60, what's it like when you're 80? And you're not thinking about, hey, you're going to live to 100. You want to plan till you're going to live to 100. You want longevity, right? Health is wealth. That's why I say healthy money, happy life. It's not that the money brings you. It's that no stress of knowing that everything is taken care of that's the happy, that's the joyful part. Right.
Well, and it's living a life that you don't have to worry, and things are in order. And I know I can go back to a story, and this is actually a story I shared with my kids just recently, because they both started jobs, and I'm happy to say at 19 and 22, they both started their IRA plans with the companies that they work with. And I was so proud of them.
Cool. That's good. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So when I first had my job as a banker, I had the opportunity to, have even a match, for my 401k plan.
Right.
And I thought, I'm too young. I don't need that. Well, 10 years of that went on. And can you imagine
Ooh.
if I would have
Ooh.
had a lot more money in my 401k
That's
plan if
right.
I would have done that 10 years of
That's
investing.
right.
So
Exactly.
because of that, Kris, that's why my kids, they started their IRA so early.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you took that lesson and got to pass it on, and that's my
Exactly.
same kind of heart, is that
Yeah.
I've learned certain things that I'm packaging them to help pass on the legacy to youth and teach people at a younger age about what to do. And
Yeah.
there are things that I found out about when I was like 58 that, why didn't they tell me? They tried, when in planning, they wanted me to do stocks and go down a certain road, but I didn't like losing money. And I didn't
Yeah.
feel integrity selling you something that I didn't want or
Yeah.
like. So I couldn't say, oh, you got to buy this stock, but I don't want it. Right. So I
Yeah.
researched safe money solutions, and it's not very commonly known. I'm not, quote, your normal financial planner. I'm a
Yeah.
safe money expert. That's why I
Mhm.
can look people in the eyes and say, over 6,000 clients, and no one on my watch has ever lost a dime in any market risk. So I do
Wow.
different strategies that are not normally known. And it's really
Right.
important to teach people about what they have. Because another thing that I saw, Shelley, when they come into the office and I go, where's your IRA? Nobody knows.
Mm.
They really don't know. Well, it's
Yeah.
at the bank, right? Or it's at Merrill Lynch. But where is it? What's it
Right.
invested in?
What kind of
And
investments is it in?
stocks, right? Okay, what kind of stocks?
Yeah, all
And
those questions come up.
right,
Yeah. And
exactly.
it's good to do a review, because I think a lot of people, we get so busy, and we have so many things going on in our lives with our kids, our families, and
Right.
work and everything. And people,
Mhm.
just like insurance, we have to have a review of, if you don't have a will, you need
Right.
to make sure you have a will. If you have properties and different assets, and even with a trust, that's one thing. In fact, I'll be talking with you about a trust, because that's one thing, we definitely need to put in place. And,
Yeah,
I've just held off because I think, gosh, having a trust, it's critical,
it is.
because when you have assets and you have kids, and, there's a lot of things out there. I mean, I'm definitely not as experienced as you are, but I think, common sense, there are a lot of tools out there that help us to prepare for this stuff.
Absolutely. And here's one for you. This is a trust, our trust package, and it's got a lot of documents in it. But I'll tell you one thing, that people that are 20, 30, 40 that might be listening to this go
Mm-hmm.
out to dinner, mom and dad go out to dinner and don't come back. Who's going to take care of the kids? We
That's
don't
right.
think about that when we're 20. We think we're just going to live forever. And
Mm-hmm.
in the days that we're in, the times that we're in, it isn't that you're going to live to 100 and die now. It could
Yeah.
be any age you could pass on. So it's
Yeah.
really important. Inside of our trust, we have a guardianship for,
Mm.
uh, for minor children. If you have minor children, you can
Um,
have it all set up, or conservatorship if you become incapacitated. And it isn't just like one thing, or, it's how to, like you said, how do all those things work together? So your
mhm.
insurances that you got when you were younger can morph or change into tax-free income for life.
And who
And
doesn't want that?
who knows about it? Very few
Yeah,
people.
that's true, the awareness, yeah. And I know now, when you talk with groups, like you were with the Villa Park, Rotary
Yeah.
Club this morning, when you talk with groups, Kris, what can they expect from you when you present? What kind of solutions do you provide for them?
I really like to take what's very complicated about money and make it really simple so the average person can get it. And that's what I, morphed into my book, right?
Mm.
Ready for
No, we're gonna talk
pre-retirement,
about that too.
right? But the pre plan retirement early, meaning start now
Yeah.
And I say 3 secrets for safe money and a fabulous future. It's not secret, it's just not talked about. So there were 3 things that I saw in my practice, still see in my practice, that people don't have. They don't have the right paperwork, right? And basically everybody needs a living trust. Even if you don't have money, you still need powers of attorney for healthcare and financial. If you want your
Directives. Oh,
wishes,
yeah.
right?
That's
And you make
right.
sure your doctor has it ahead of time too.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
important.
Yeah. Well,
That's
even,
mhm.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that was one. I know there's so much to put in there.
I know. Well, and I'm thinking even beneficiaries, you need to
Oh
make
yeah.
sure that, those beneficiaries are in alignment with, with how you want things to
Oh yeah.
roll,
That reminds me of a story. I had a husband and wife come in, second marriage. He forgot to take the wife off from the
Oh,
first marriage, and they both found
oh,
out in front of me, right?
oh my
What?
gosh.
Oh no, I've seen some. I could write a book on that
Oh,
story,
I'm
but
sure you could.
it's so
Even, yeah. Even on
it's
the
so
banking
important.
side, I saw it when I was a banker for many
Right.
years, and I saw some pretty amazing stuff.
I'm sure you did. Right.
I
Right.
know.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so that's the second thing that most all of us don't think about is catastrophic illness.
Yeah.
So before pandemic, it was 7 out of 10 people will end up in a nursing home, right?
Mm,
But after the pandemic, I think it's going to be a little bit more like 9 out of 10. It's
gosh.
such an amazing problem.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and
my,
things because they're very fluid and things are changing, and I think, just with the pandemic alone, I mean, look at how many lives were lost, and think of those people that may not have been completely positioned to make sure that their estates, their assets,
exactly.
everything, and there are multiple stories that can be told, I'm sure, and how heartbreaking is that, you know?
It is. It is. So it's so important to have that set up. My family was kind of like the nightmare of the catastrophic illness.
Mhm.
My mommy had cancer for 10 years,
Oh.
and she came up to me with this paper. She said, "Honey," and she goes, "Share this with your clients." And I looked at her. She had a big tear in her eye. I go, "Mom, what?" It was a bill from Stanford
Oh.
Hospital.
Oh.
5 days of chemo.
Oh gosh.
$90,000.
Oh,
She had
yeah.
chemo for a year. So $1 million, you think you
Oh my
could self-insure? $1 million is not a lot of money when you're trying to protect yourself. So I show my
Mhm.
clients how to do what the 1% does. Stay in
Mhm.
your own home and learn how to leverage your assets to create.
Yeah.
And there are ways that you can do that inside of life insurance. So you can stay in your own home. And if you don't need it, then it rolls right over to your beneficiaries
Yeah.
and can give you tax-free income. But
Mm.
that's, there's some really creative planning. And the idea is to be able to stay in your own home, really. And then
Yeah.
the
I think
third
that's the
thing,
key.
right?
And number 3,
And number 3, right? It
drum
is
roll.
right. Da, da, da. And this is where everybody gets because they don't know any better, and so there's no judgment on any of it. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've looked at thousands of people's portfolios, and
Mhm.
most of them are at risk. And right now we're at the top of the market. You
Mm.
need to learn about safe money. You need to have a chunk of your money that you'll never lose a dime in any market risk. And that's my specialty.
Mhm.
So I use products that don't go down. They only go up and lock in at the high water mark. And these things have been around. Well, not one person ever lost $1 in some of these products in the Great Depression. So there's safe places that you can be, and you got to be aware of it, because we're at the top. You can't keep printing trillions of dollars and not have, besides inflation, a global. It's going to be a global reset now, right? We're
Gosh.
all in it. They're
Yeah.
all in it together. Well,
We're
they're all
all in
in
it
that
together.
included.
I
Right.
know. Well, and I'm glad that this particular live is being cast to a group of global women. We've got about 4,000 members on that group, and then even on my LinkedIn. And I hope that a lot of our LinkedIn, connections, you're watching this, because this is something where, Kris actually is a speaker, so she can, and she's been doing it for years, so she can actually come out to your organization or your company and help your employees, your teams, or even groups of groups of women and different types of conferences. And I think it's information that, Kris is very dependable. She's trustworthy, and she's been doing this work for a lot of years. And Kris, what do you love most about your job, or not your job, but your company and what you do?
Connecting with people like you. That
Oh,
that is, my clients become my friends and my family, and it's so special because when I can take the experience that I have and help people, that's my 401k. That's my
yeah,
that's my
yeah,
money. That's
it's
my joy.
it's rewarding. And
Yeah.
I can kind of sense, I felt like that when I worked at the bank and I helped clients where I thought, gosh, I just, that's what I do. And they would just walk away and they would just have the utmost appreciation for what we could provide or what I helped them with. So I can
Right.
imagine that you're getting that a lot too with the work that you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so fun to go into because I've done it. It's not that I'm so wonderful, but I've just done it so long that I can morph into whatever kind of organization or corporation and dial in the conversation for that group because each age has a different target or thing that they should be doing. So
Mhm.
that's a lot of fun.
Oh, I can imagine. And doing the work that you do, it's very tedious and detail oriented, but it's worth it because I think every little, you know, dotted I, cross T, number, whatever, it's very important to make sure that everything is accurate and
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
and reviewed and all of those compliance things that
That's
come
right.
along with it.
That's right. It all has to work together.
It does.
You
It
know,
really does.
I was invited to Washington, D.C. to speak to the U.S. government financial officers. Now, this is just a quick story, but these are guys that handle the billions and trillions of dollars. And there was a few hundred of people there a few years ago. And I
Oh,
said, how many of you are ready for retirement? Crickets.
mm.
Maybe 2% raised their hand. And I said, I was trying to be funny, right?
Yeah.
These are directors of billions and trillions.
Of course they're prepared, right?
Right. I said, we're the government. You're supposed to be prepared.
That's
Right.
right.
And I go, well, what happened? And the director looked at me. He says, we're just busy taking care of other people's money.
Hmm.
And that's really what all of us were busy raising kids, living life, working, that we don't take the time to take care of ourselves or our
That's right.
money.
And you have to carve out that time. You really do. Like us, doing a trust. I don't know how many times my husband's told me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. And then now that I have you,
Yeah.
now
Oh,
we can talk.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I've made it really easy. I've actually started doing virtual appointments with people before the pandemic because I do
Oh,
this all over the country. I help people all over the country. It's really a lot of fun. Such a
that's
blessing.
awesome,
Yeah.
Kris.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. And I
Yeah.
just want to remind our audience that we're here with Kris Miller. And Kris, how can people reach you?
Well, thank you. That's so sweet of you. You could call our office, which is 951-926-4158, or you can email me at Kris, Kris, at healthymoneyhappylife.com. You see that going across the
Yeah, it's
screen,
scrolling at the bottom there.
scrolling at the bottom, but that's
So
my email.
screenshot.
Call me. That's the best way. And then, I hop on the phone. I do complimentary. There's not a charge for financial fitness strategy session. I ask your age, your health, your wealth. And then I do all this research. We hop on the phone. I share my screen with you. I give you the class on what I would recommend. Then I send it all to you. Then you can
Wow,
review it and then ask me any questions. I believe in
that's
it
a
so
great
much that I
service.
do it for free,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh.
I know I
Yeah.
could make so much more money, but it's not about that. It really
It's
is about,
you're helping families, you're
that's
helping
it.
people, you're helping, people leave a legacy for, after they're long gone and they leave it for their children. So,
That's it.
I mean, I really applaud you for the work that you do, Kris.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and I know just
Yeah.
we're almost out of time. I just want you to share one last nugget with our audience that you really think is important for them to know.
Well, there's the main nugget that I would want to share, and it really is a gratitude.
Mm.
Gratitude is and we're in it. These are bumpy times for for all of us going through.
Yeah.
And there's a way that you can kind
Yes.
of balance. And I use this as a balancing where, when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I thank God, and I think of 5 things I'm grateful for. I just get my
Oh,
brain into the gratitude before I put my foot on the earth. And then
yeah.
right, and then I do it before I go to sleep too. And
Oh,
it creates a momentum of gratitude, which will
yeah.
allow you to be able to handle all the things that are just, you can remember that, and it'll help you go through the storms.
Oh, I love that tip. I mean, that is something that I know that our audience can definitely put into practice tonight, right? They can do their
That's right.
five item, yes,
That's right.
tonight, 5 things that they're grateful for. And
That's right.
yeah, and again, Kris, thank you so much for being here. You are definitely a bright light.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and we
Thank
definitely want to make sure that we'll put all of your contact information in the show notes. And thank you for sharing with our audience today. We also want to thank, those of you that'll be watching after, or you've watched this afternoon. But we definitely want to make sure that you watch the whole episode and catch us here frequently where we're doing Luminary Leaders Live. And we will catch you all later. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you.
Thank you.